Hey guys, how's it going? In this first video, I want to go over some of the basic concepts of the Java language for anyone new to object-oriented programming or even just anyone new to programming in general. In this quick overview, I want to introduce you to classes, objects, inheritance, and interfaces as they are the fundamental components to writing object-oriented code. Now, since this is the first video, I don't expect you to understand the concepts I'm going to cover very briefly in this video, but I do suggest you watch it through as it will give you a general idea of what each concept is and maybe help set the stage in your mind for later videos, where I will go into far more detailed explanations on each individual concept. Alright, well let's get into it. Our first concept is the object, which are bundles of software with related state and behavior. Classes. Classes describe how an object will be built. Inheritance. Now, inheritance is a powerful and important concept in Java that at a high level lets you use existing classes in your code if they are related. Now, I want to emphasize this is a really basic definition. There's a lot more to it, so definitely watch the inheritance videos. And finally, we have interfaces. Interfaces form a contract with classes, and by implementing an interface, the class promises to provide the behavior outlined in the interface. This contract is enforced at build time by the compiler. Now, if you already have some experience with Java, you might not need any further explanation. But if on the other hand, you're completely new to Java, here's a little something to give you more of a visual of what I just talked about. In other videos I'm sure you've seen trying to explain these concepts, a relationship is usually drawn between objects in Java and real-world objects like a dog or a car. And even though these are perfectly fine examples, I feel that for many, and definitely me at first, found it difficult to picture how a car or a car factory related to these Java concepts that I was trying to learn. Now you might be wondering why I have a picture of a cookie displayed. Well, here's why. I think a cookie is a perfect, simple representation of all the concepts I just explained, from object all the way to interface. Okay, so let's think of a cookie. Say you wanted to make a batch of cookies back in the day before the internet. What would you first need? You would first need a recipe book, then you would open the book to the table of contents to go to the appropriate section. Now in our example, we are working with a specific type of baked good. But as we all know, there are many different kinds of baked goods. So each section will also have different chapters of all the different types, like cakes, pies, or in our case, cookies. This further grouping of a type of baked good relates to how an interface can provide a general type for a group of classes to differentiate without going into any detail that all the recipes in this chapter will be some kind of cookie recipe. Now it's great that we've gotten to where the cookies are, but a cookie is still a pretty broad description. If you ask someone for a cookie, the first thing they would ask you is, what kind of cookie? A recipe book has additional sections in each chapter where specific types of cookies can be found. Then, one step further, you get a specialization of cookies. This specialization corresponds directly to how a subclass would extend a superclass. This process is also known as inheritance. Now, for those of you with some Java experience, I'm sure you're thinking that's a poor excuse of an explanation for inheritance. But like I said, my goal in this video is to try and keep things as basic as possible. I'll give a much better explanation in future inheritance videos. And finally, we come to the specific recipe that we want to make. This recipe works exactly like a class. It details the ingredients, optional ingredients, how many cookies it will make, and directions on how to make the cookies. The final cookie object will turn out exactly as it says in the recipe. In the same way, an object is just a reflection of what's written in a class. Hopefully, this has given you a general idea into what each concept is. But if you're still a little lost, don't worry. I'll be explaining each of the concepts in further detail and how they relate to each other in later videos. Alright guys, well thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in later videos.